Hello everybody and welcome back. Today is September 13th, Friday the 13th. And this is my finished build for the Chris Cortel Celebration of Life group build that was hosted by Kenny May of Moonwalker Models. I'm sorry that this took me so long, but there's things that have happened in my life that has stopped me and slowed me down from doing different things. So it is what it is. I also wanted to take my time on this build and make this the best that I possibly could. I hope it has done him justice. It's hard to believe. March 17th of 2024 was the 1-year anniversary of his passing. It's hard to believe it. A little over a year has gone by so fast. So, this is the Cyclops. This is the build. This is the last build that he was doing before his passing. We had both gotten these models around the same time. And he started his before I started mine, and he wasn't able to finish his. So I finished mine, for this build. I tried to get as much detail in. The one thing I will say about this kit, it's by a company called X Plus. I believe it's still available if you're interested. But the one thing about this kit is when it comes to the fur on his legs and all that, it has shallow details. So it's very hard to get a good fur-like look from the details that they show because they're kind of shallow. Another thing that they did with this kit, and you'll see because we're going to spin it around here in a few minutes or a few seconds, is that when they made the cage, they didn't put a back on it. It only has 3 sides. It should be 4-sided, and they didn't do that. They only made it 3 sides, so the whole back side of the cage is empty. I guess they figured people would just display it like you see it here and not really look at the back. But yeah, there's no backing. Some people who have 3D printers and know how to do that were able to make a backing. I've seen in other videos. I don't have that ability. So, I made it. This is box stock, other than a few little tufts of grass here and there and all that. It's basically box stock. And I will be zooming in on some things. Like, I believe his name is Farouk, who's in the cage. And I'm going to zoom in through the cage. It's the only way to do it. And we're going to give it a spin around. And you guys can take a look. Let me know what you think. I did glue. Originally, the model's supposed to be that club. It's supposed to just be leaning, up against one of the rocks or leaning up against the cage. I thought that it would look nicer to put it in his hand. So that's what I did. The ground was it was very smooth. There was really no texture to it. And to paint it, to get detail, you need texture. So that you can dry brush and stuff like that, not just perfectly smooth. We all know that. So what I did is I used the Vallejo diorama effects, and they have all different ones. They have earth texture and all that. I used the desert texture, the sandy texture, and then once it dries, you're able to paint over it. So that's what I did. So I painted some of the rocks gray, and then I did some dry brushing and some washes to make the desert floor look, so it wasn't just a stark look like sand. I did paint Farouk, who's in the cage, as close to the film as I could. It's hard to tell if he's wearing blue or if he's wearing turquoise over pink or red because of the age of the film. It's just hard to tell. So I painted him red and blue, and then the belt is a brown leather, the shoes are a brown leather. I tried to paint a beard on him and all that. I painted the skeletons and the skull that's in the cage and things like that. And I had the very tedious thing was painting all those little ropes that were tied around the cage to tie all of the logs on to the cage. That was very, very time consuming. But I think everything came out well. I'm pleased with it. I'm proud of it. And it will sit on my shelf. I'm wondering if I can get a case for it to try to keep it, dust free. I don't know if it would fit in some of my bigger, like 124 scale car cases, or display cases. I don't know if it'll fit in that. I think it's too tall and I think it's too wide. So I might have to get something else, more of something that you would get for, a basketball or a football. But it depends on the price. I might just have to, just keep an eye on it and try to keep it dust free as best as I can because of the size. I'm going to have that with a few other things that I have coming up that I want to build too. So, okay. He spun around quite a lot. Let's stop this. So I painted the beard. I painted his eyebrows and the eyes. And all that. So, and if we pan back a little bit, you can see here, this is just the bottom part of the Cyclops himself, the hair on his legs. And it may look on camera like there's a lot of detail, but it's very shallow. It's very shallow. So I tried to get it because if you watch the movie, he's a darker brown up towards the top, and then when it comes down towards the bottom, it becomes more like, I guess because the sun's hitting it, it becomes more like a lighter brown, almost a blonde. And it's hard to tell what color his hooves are. Sometimes they look black, sometimes they look a dark brown. So it is what it is. So I just did the best that I could with that. First we'll zoom in on his nice pretty face. The eye I had done, that is a decal. I did not paint that eye. I can't paint eyes. And something that's as small as Farouk, who's in the cage, I just would put a little black dot. Have it a white eye and I put a little black dot. That's it. It's as far as I'll go. Even though I do have decals, those decals are so small, it's like the head of a pin. It's so small, it's not even worth it. Just put a black dot. That's all you need to do. Unless somebody has bionic eyes, they're not even going to tell. So there's his face, and you can see I, like Chris Cortel taught, you know, it's not, you have the eye. I put future over the eye to make it, you know, glossy. And around his eye, because it is the eye area, I made it more of a little bit of a pinkish flesh tone. Because it is the eye. And then it goes to his skin tone outside of it, and, you know, once you get up to the top brow. As for underneath of his nose, a little bit of future under his nose where you would see he's mad, he's upset, you know, like in the movie. And it looks like there's a little bit of mucus under his nose, a little bit of a green, a light green wash, nothing that is standing out when you look at it that it makes it look like it's disgusting, but, you know, a little bit more lifelike. And then there's his mouth. I gave him very slight dental decay because I looked at it the way you would look at real life. You know, you look at your dog or your cat. They very rarely have dental problems. And I believe he, you know, as a living creature would be the same way. That's why I gave him some decay, but not extreme decay. So we can pan back here. And I tried to do the scales on his chest. They are like scales and warts and bumps and all that. That was all, you know, I tried to do a couple. I did it a little at a time. A couple little washes. And get the darkness in between those scales so that it would bring out the definition of his chest and all that kind of stuff. The same thing with his, you know, down with the stomach and where the hair and his stomach and all that stuff would meet. You know, I tried to blend that all in so that it would fit in. And there he is. And I hope everybody likes it. And thank you for watching. And thank you to Chris Cortel. I wouldn't have been able to do half of what I did for this build if I hadn't learned it from Chris Cortel. So, all right, thank you for watching. You guys have a good rest of your weekend. I know this video has been long, but I wanted to show the detail. I wanted to show the things that I had learned from Chris Cortel and, you know, just display it. Okay, bye-bye now.